It's the classic racing and betting game, Downforce, brought back to life, as well as its wild ride expansion, coming up. Hi, it's Tarrant.
And Stella from Meeple University. Today we are going to talk about the game Downforce and Wild Ride expansion. So we're going to start with Downforce first, and then this, and then share you what we think of it.
Yes. So Downforce, it's not a new game. It's existed in many forms for a very long time, dating back to, I believe, the early 70s, a game called Tempo, and then it went through various forms. It was released in the 90s as Downforce in this form, and it's had a re-release through Yellow in the last couple of years.
And we just happened to play it just recently.
Yes. And it's fundamentally, because we'd played this after them, it feels like a combo, but it actually would be the precursor to. It's sort of a mix between the betting style of game that you get in Camel Up and some of the tactical racing and track position sort of stuff you get in a game like Flamme Rouge or Mississippi Queen to some extent. So it kind of mixes those things together, but it came before all of those games. It's a very light game, and yeah, it's quite fun.
So what do you do in this game, Tarrant?
So at the start of the game, everyone gets an auction pad and they get a set of cards. And all those cards have all the different car colours on them and different speeds. And then there's an auction. So a car colour is flipped up and a special power is flipped up. And players will bid on those by playing a card from their hand and essentially bidding the amount of money shown in its number.
And you win the card and the power.
Yep, so whoever gets that would get the card and the power. And you can have multiple, as long as everyone has at least one car that they own, you can have multiple cars in the game. You also get the high speed card. And then once you get into the race, you go round and round the table and players take it in turns, choosing any one card from their hand, playing it, and then moving the cars around the amount shown. So
and
this
then
one
discard
here,
the card.
Yep, so this one here, it says blue 6, orange 4, 2 wild, 1 yellow. So you'd move blue 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You'd then move orange 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wild 2, so you can move something 2 spaces. So
you can't do blue 2. As well otherwise.
Yep, can't repeat it. And then yellow 1. And players just go round and round doing this until some cars are finished. And that may seem very straightforward, but where the game has its tactics is that...
Betting.
Well, there's two elements of tactics. There's a track position element of tactics. So if you're not interested in having orange win, you can drive orange around the long way round instead of the short way round. And cars can get blocked. So say someone's driven the green car up into here, the blue car now doesn't have a space that it can go, and so...
Or even so. What happened then?
Even there. So if I don't want blue to win, but I'm holding this blue card, I could play it, and it's stuck. It just wastes that card. Mm-hmm. And the more times a cards are wasted, the more likely it is it's not even going to get around to the finish.
Exactly.
Then the second part of the game is each time a car crosses one of these yellow lines, everyone takes a bet on which car they think is going to win. And so everyone secretly on their little grid chooses who they think will win. And you'll do that 3 times during the game. And if your bet car comes first, second or third, you get a payout. And you get a higher payout earlier in the race, a lower payout later. And then at the end of the game, you get your betting payouts. You get money based on where your car or cars that you picked at the start of the game finish. And you lose money based on how much you bid for your car. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, maybe you want your car to do okay, or maybe you just want your car to break even for what you bet on it or for what you spent on it. And then you try to make the cars you bet on win. And that's really the that's the summary of the game. It plays pretty quickly. A round will play in half an hour. It's pretty much a party game. As we say, it's camel up mixed with a track position type of racing game.
6 players.
We'll play up to 6. The basic game comes with this board. It comes with... The board has 2 sides to it. So this one's got some nice big sweeping corners. This one's a bit more of a tight, twisty sort of track with more single lane stuff. Yeah. And there we have it. That is the basics of Downforce.
What do you think? I really enjoyed this game.
Yeah, I think it's fun.
Like Mississippi Queen is one of my favorite games, racing games. Camel Up is a different type of racing games. I like racing game as a board game better than PC game. Yeah. It has got a great tactics and it's turn-based rather than real-time based because I can never do well with my thumbs with PC games and video games.
Yeah. We're actually quite opposite on that. I always say this when I talk about racing games. Growing up, we had some terrible racing games. There weren't that many good racing games in the 80s. And so many of them. We had a Formula 1 game where it was called Alan Jones?
Alan Jones.
Or Alan Bond. I forget which one is. I always get those two confused. But the one that was the Australian F1 driver, it had this circuit, and if it was a straight, you needed a 3 card. And so you just had cards in your hand. It was like, oh, I've got some 3s. I can go along this bit now. And if you didn't have them, you were just stuck there. And it was pretty much roll to move type of thing. So when I've come across the better racing games that are out there and the ones where you've got influence on track position, and Flamme Rouge does that in a similar way to this. You've sort of got just enough cards to finish the race, and you've got to avoid getting blocked or make up your drafting as you go through. So I think it's nice. It's very light and it will play around quite quickly. And then the betting makes it interesting because you can see as the game unfolds. Yeah. My car's out in front, but all of a sudden everyone's trying to help the guy behind me. Everyone else must have bet on him.
Yeah.
So I better change my bet at the end, but still try, or I really need to block it and I need to maneuver things like that. So,
yeah, it's very interesting that way.
Yeah. And at the same time, it's light as well. So sometimes things are just going to go against you. Everyone's going to get your car blocked in here, and your car's going to come last. But you can still do a good job of betting.
It's just like starting betting on other people's car that you think you're going to win.
Yeah, so I think it's a good
party game.
Gamer's party game, I think, or a light.
Gamers, yeah, kind of like not party game. It still has some tactics to it.
Still got some tactics and enough rules that you couldn't teach it to... You couldn't teach it to non-gamers on a night where you weren't expecting to play games.
Right.
You could teach it to a non-gamer. But it will work well with families as well, and it's good fun.
And what does the expansion bring, Tarrant?
So the Wild Ride expansion brings two more maps to the game, but they come with different features as well. So we've got this map here, the...
wow. Look at this.
The something sands, I think it's called.
Is it dolphins or are they sharks or just fish?
They just add to the danger. So this is the Aloha Sands, and You'll see it has jumps all over it. So there's also these little 3D jumps that you don't need, but they look cool. And to jump someone over a ramp, so that will let you gain extra distance or not gain distance, and you need to have a certain speed and excess movement in order to get over a ramp.
It says 4, so and 6. Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's another one.
Yes.
Which is behind it.
The other side here. This is the Savannah Stretch. And the Savannah Stretch, as I dig into the box. So here there'd be an elephant and a snake and an antelope as well. Let's see if I can find the little herd of antelope here.
Oh, nice.
And then so it's blocking, and then once a car goes past this track, they go thundering off to the next space. So it just basically moves the blockages down the field. It's kind of a catch-up as well, because it means the lead cars are getting stuck behind this stuff, but then the trailing cars, All the lead cars are way up ahead getting stuck in behind this elephant. All the trailing cars don't have that. They can just run straight through. So a little bit more of a catch-up than the base game has as well.
Reminds me of Mississippi Queen as well, where the player that goes ahead, there's a randomness, so you don't know what tile is going to flip up, and then you kind of like deal with it, and then the second player would probably is better in terms of catching up.
Yep. So there we have it.
So would you, is it a favorite racing game? Is this your favorite, or there's Mississippi Queen? There's a few.
I still like Flamme Rouge.
Oh,
I think that's probably my favourite. And it's the most gamer of the ones I've played as well. I really enjoy the drafting mechanic there. But this one works really nicely as well as a light game and a fair game. That's what you want. I'm predisposed to thinking of racing games as stupidly random. But it's nice. And every time, I shouldn't be so surprised anymore because there are good racing games out there. But every time I come across one, I do enjoy.
So does that mean that you have such low expectations for each race game that you come across now? Or now like the standards is like getting high a little bit?
Maybe I do. Maybe I do go into racing games predisposed to thinking that it is a tough mechanic to make work in board game form. I don't think there's a doubt about that.
Yeah, I don't think I have a racing game that I do not like. Every racing games I come across, I like.
Yeah.
Including, I think, is that Falcke? It's not really racing, really.
Falcke's not a race.
Not racing like this.
That one's a...
Yeah, it's just got that interesting mechanics, and it's not like even Mississippi Queens. Again, I come back to it, and then Flamme Rouge, there's no randomness in that. So contrary to what you expect in racing game, is not roll to move at all. So this is what we think. What do you think? I'm sure that some of you have played this. Tell us what you think, or tell us your favorite racing game, and if you haven't played it, we'll have a look. Again, if you could please help us by hitting that like button. If you find this video somewhat useful, that will be much appreciated. If you haven't already subscribed to us, also we're really thankful if you can subscribe to us, so you can get notification of our new and upcoming game. You can also hit the Meeple in the corner to subscribe and hit the bell. I'm also on social media like Instagram. You can follow me there, and hopefully we will see you in our next video. Bye.